Like I say, I'm 5'11" and a half. I walk around now at 14 stone. Trying to get down to 9 stone, 9'4", 9'9", 10 stone was always a struggle for me. So, you know,
why did you box at a really low weight?
That's a really good question. Like,
you're a big guy. You're about 6 foot.
Yeah.
Near enough. And you're about, right now I can see you're about 13, 14 stone.
Yeah, about that. Yeah.
And you got down to about what, 9.5?
Well, when I challenged for the featherweight title, British featherweight title, I weighed 8 stone 12 and 3/4. I really don't know, but like, you're under a little bit of pressure from other people to take fights on. You know, people are leaning on you. Oh, go on, you'll be all right. Do one more weight.
You'll always be all right. That's the tone.
The first thing they don't understand is, I've got to go with no food. I've got to go with no drink. You know, I've got to make the weight. It's always easy for these managers, trainers, promoters, anyone else to say, oh, go on, do one more weight below. They ain't got to realise the sacrifice and suffering that I've got to go through to do that. And then obviously my dad's telling me the whole career, you ain't a light welterweight, you ain't a lightweight, you ain't a super featherweight, and you ain't a featherweight. Like, you know, I remember my pro debut was at 10 stone 2. So, you know, I was over the light welterweight limit. And then, you know, 4 or 5 years later, I dropped down to under 9 stone to challenge for the featherweight title. You know, kind of forced into it by these promoters. Oh, go on, this guy's calling you out, fight him, do this, do that. And me being young,
do you feel was used along the way?
I was used and abused by everyone. Yeah, 100%. I was used. There's not one promoter. No, there's one promoter that never ever used and abused me, and that's Mickey Elliott. He sat down in black and white on the table, laid out a contract. This is what will happen, and he stuck to every word of that and got me the fights. He offered me one fight, and I said, no, I don't want that fight. That fight's too easy. Can I have a harder guy? And he said he's never experienced that in another professional boxer, and said, all right, no problem. He'll get me a harder one. Unlucky for me that was my last fight. That was a night that I ended up having a stroke after the fight, and obviously my career ending.
Right, can you elaborate on what actually happened with you in the stroke?
Well,
what led to the stroke?
Yeah,
the aftermath and the recovery. Because obviously, right now you're full recovery, right?
100% recovery. Yesterday I went to the doctors and they gave me a full clear that I'm as good as gold, and like I say, everything's in
Can you break down how it all?
Yeah, okay. Well, I had the fight on. I think my last fight was the 11th of April, or 12th of April, 2 years ago, and then I had a problem in the fight. I didn't feel like I was hurt or anything, but there was something quite not right, and I had a problem with my ear. It felt like someone was constantly ringing a bell in this ear. And I said to my father at the end of round 3, I think it was, there's something quite not right. I don't feel myself, you know. He said to me, shall I pull you out? My next answer to that is no. I'll win this fight and we'll sort out whatever has to happen. So obviously I went on, won, done that. And I see the doctor afterwards. He said to me, what's wrong? I said, like, my ear's really playing me up. Can you have a look at it? Yes, he had a look at it. He said, I ruptured my ear. So that was that. But every time I went like that with my head, all this clear fluid kept coming out of it. So I went to my GP afterwards, and he said that there was not really anything that he could do for it. It would heal on its own. But as a fighter, I know clear fluid out of the nose, out of the ears, you got problems. So anyway, I went home, and then the wife said to me, what's wrong? I said, I didn't feel very well. So she said to me, turn around and look at me. So I turned around and looked at her, and obviously my face had all started to droop. And I said, I really don't feel well. And she,
was your mouth, your lip going?
Yeah, this side of it was all going downwards, and obviously there was some spit appearing in the corner of my mouth. And she said, no, that don't seem right. And obviously at this stage, this arm, I was kind of going like, look at my arm, and it weren't going like that. It was kind of just moving like that. I couldn't really move it very well. So at that stage, she said, I'm going to call 111 and ask somebody. So she was getting on the phone, but at that time I'd gone over. So, and then obviously I was down there, but it seemed like forever, but it weren't very long, 30 seconds, 40 seconds, and then obviously everything started coming back to me. So I got into bed, and she called the ambulance come, and they said to me that the symptoms seemed like I'd had a stroke. So I said, all right, no problem, I'll have to go to the hospital. So they took me to hospital, which I went to King's, and there I stayed for the next 6 days. They put me in they gave me medication, so I slept pretty much like 18 hours a day, and they said that that's the only time that your brain rests is when you're sleeping. I suppose a little bit like how Blackwell with his induced coma. I wasn't in an induced coma, but you know, they was giving me medication. I slept a lot, and It was about a day before I come out, so about 4 or 5 days in, I obviously needed a toilet, a proper toilet, and I said to the nurse, I need to get to the toilet, and she said to me, they'll bring me like a sit-down toilet or for me to do it in the bed. So I said to her, no, I can't do that. I said, that is not something that I want to do. I want to get myself up out of bed and go to the toilet. And she said, no, that can't happen. No, the right side of me was a little bit not working very well, so she said, no, we'll bring you something. So I said to her, no, I'm getting up out of this bed, I'm going to the toilet, and pretty much, touch wood, since that day I've got up and walked and I've looked after myself. And I say, it's like, no, there's no lasting damage. My right side of me.
Is your memory good right now? What's your memory like?
No, my memory can be bad on the short term thing. Long term, I can remember no problem. Like from even like down to my first amateur bout, my first professional fight. What promoter had me over for money? Not had me over for money. I know exactly every detail. But if you said to me, what did I do last week? You know, I could be a little bit like, could be a bit. But you know, that's all right. That's the way it is. I have to just get on with life the way it is now, and concentrate on looking after my fighters. You know, so I've got 3 nice fighters, and they're all my friends.
Never give up. Just keep going.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, never give up.
Never give up.
No, it's never like I says. Initially, it was a bit of a shock to me. I wanted when I retired, not retired, but I had the stroke. They told me that I had a stroke, and it was officially I had a stroke. I was obviously upset. You know, I just won the WBU world title, and I didn't get a chance to defend it. And I knew that my career was going to be over. And it was kind of like, what am I going to do now? You know.
Does the phone still ring? Obviously, when you had a stroke and people found out about it, did they come and find out?
No, all of my so-called friends. Never, they all disappeared. The gravy train had run out. They weren't going to come and get free tickets at shows. You know, the so-called limelight, whichever limelight they think there is. There's no limelight in professional boxing. You know, it's what is it? It's one man beating another man. The only person who should get the limelight is one of the two, win or loses. But everyone else jumps on the bandwagon. They want to be your best friend, and then when that runs out, they'll disappear. Didn't even ring to ask my wife, was she okay? Could they run around and do some food shopping? Nothing, you know. Which, you know, I've got good family and some real close friends around me that offered to help, and obviously my mum and dad were there. My wife, you know, stood by me. I've got a little boy and a little girl on the way at the time. They've obviously been my inspiration to try and be as good as I can and healthy. But these so-called friends who want to be friends, you know, they all disappeared. You know, that's why now my circle is very small. You know, I've got Benny, I've got Chaz, you know, I've got Jamil, I've got my dad, I've got my mum, my wife.
Brian Saunders.
Yeah, Brian. You know, all these guys, they're all.
Mark Tibbs.
No, I don't speak to Mark Tibbs. You know, them kind of guys. You know, I had a lot of pals to say, how are you? You know, at that particular time, I was indoors 6-7 months. Trying to recover, just sitting still. You know, my missus had to go to work to put some food on the table. You know, my dad helped me out putting food on the table. You know, nobody come along and help me. You see what I'm saying? And you know, just that little hello, how are you would have made my day and picked me up. But instead, you know, you just sit there and think about what could have been. You know, at the time, I could have. You know, I was going to defend my WBU world title, to then having it dragged away. You know, someone just to talk boxing to me would have been nice.
It's a sad story.
Yeah, well, it is a sad story, but it's life, you know.
To be honest, when I came and saw you today, I wasn't aware of it.
Oh,
well, now, honest.
Yeah, well, a lot of people, you know, they're not aware of what's happened to me.
No one's told me nothing.
I think I got a letter from the British Boxing Board of Control. It was 2 lines: "Thank you for your service to the British Boxing Board of Control." And then the letter wasn't even originally written by pen or signed by pen by Robert Smith. You know, the times I've helped shows out at late notice. They should do a little bit more.
Acknowledge you.
Not just me. There's other boxers like Manny Edwards. You know, he was in an induced coma. You know, these guys, Michael Watson. These guys don't get no. We don't want no help. But you know, just a little bit of public. You just bring people to shows and say, yeah, this geezer held our shows up at times.
Introduce you in the ring. Get around, do it.
Yeah, it wouldn't be for me. I don't want to get in the ring.
No, but a charity do or something
exactly,
like that.
Yeah, it would be nice. I'd say not just me. There's 5 or 6 guys. You know, Spencer Oliver. He's all right. He's in the TV now. He does a bit of and good on him because he knows boxing better than anyone else. Yeah, he's not one of these guys who
Been there,
pretends,
done that.
sits behind the keyboard and says, "Oh, this geezer should do this and do that." There's too many people with him like that in this boxing game. Never been.
I'll come across them.
Yeah, I can imagine you come across them. The boxing game, you know, there's too many people, trainers, managers, promoters, who have never been punched in the face and say, if you can't beat this guy, why are you in the game? Wait a minute, do you know what it's like to be punched in the face? No, you don't. So don't tell me. And this is what happens.
Real talk.
It is real talk. Yeah, it is.
You keep me honest.
Yeah. Yeah.
What was let's go back. What was the highlight of your career? What was the part of your career and you go, do you know what? This is everything that I want to be as a boxer. What stage of your career did you know you felt that way?
Well, when I had my pro debut, that was one of the proudest moments, because, you know, I'm just a normal guy who comes from Thamesmead. We're a normal family. I live with my mum and dad. We just live on Thamesmead. You know, we're not being brought up with silver spoons or had a whole heap load of money. We had pretty much what we wanted, but, you know, we had to do things the hard way. My dad looked after us, and obviously my dad's been there every step of the way. And that was the moment. That was my proudest moment, because I gave back everything that he had gave up. You know, equally what I did was try and make my family proud of what I did. Give 100%, win or lose. I held my hands up, and if I lost, best man won on the night. Like Amir Khan, I don't want to use the excuse that I had broken ribs to get a week's notice. I would not have took that fight unless I thought I could win. And I went there expecting to win. Got beat, that's fine. And then other guys call me out, want to fight me at short notice. I'll fight, I win, like Mark Alexander. I beat Peter McDonough at short notice. There's a whole herd of them. But you know, that's just the way the boxing game goes. If you take it and you're willing to get in that ring, then you're obviously expecting to win. You're not going there just to make numbers up. So.
Well, it was lovely being with you and hearing your story. I'm fascinated to hear everything.
Like it's nice that someone appreciates what really has happened.
Yeah.
This is real life, you know.
Has Life Film London come to see you at all?
No.
No one else?
No one. Like I say, my career's kind of, I had the stroke, career ended, that's it. I get a small letter from the British Border Control. Amir Khan written something very lovely on Twitter for me.
That's nice.
He was good. Mickey Elliott writ something and writ to me regularly, and still to this day, this week I've spoke to Mickey Elliott, I spoke to him, but other than that, we're scratching around. I wonder how many people were like that.
Listen, I've got you. I feel you. I actually standing here right now with you. I can actually feel everything you've gone through, and obviously I haven't gone through it.
No, yeah.
But I can feel your pain.
Yeah. Well, like I say,
so I hope everyone that sees and listens and watches this interview gathers and understands everything you've been through, and has an understanding. Maybe some people that are watching this probably don't know who you are. No, but at least they can hear and see and find out more about you.
Yeah, exactly.
After this interview.
Well, not just me, but there's other guys, like I say, poor Nick Blackwell. You know, I read people saying, talking bad of him. The man's not well. You know, he's gave a best of account of himself. You know, that's not on. That's not on. The man's got up in that ring. 90% of the people that have an opinion have never ever been punched in the face. They have never been punched. So don't have an opinion if you've never been punched.
There you go. Knuckle-up TV. Ryan Barrett.
It was a pleasure.
Gun Shields Gym. We're out of here.